Hello everyone, and welcome back to Without a Voice. The last time we left off, things got a little, PG-13, we'll put it that way. So if you are a kid and watching this, I suggest not to watch any further. It's gonna get a little PG-13. If you think you can deal with that and your parents are fine with that, then keep on watching. But if you are not allowed to watch anything PG-13 or up, do not watch this. That's why there's a mature filter on this. And we're going to start it off right now with the last scene that we were at, which is the two characters. Do you have enough space? You're not too cramped. I am fine. Truth be told, I do not mind the proximity. There was a faraway look in Elwyn's eyes. I'd been alone for so long. Until you came. How did you come to live here in the forest? Where is your family? Oh. Perhaps she cannot say. Perhaps it's not that she does not wish to tell me, but that she cannot. She may have some circumstances that prevent her from speaking on the subject. Was it impertinent of me to bring it up? I'm sorry, is it difficult for you to tell me? It is a trying subject. I'm not quite sure where to begin. She took a deep breath. I have lived here all my life. Once I was not alone, but... Elwyn paused and sighed. Do you remember the wisteria tree? Of course, that's my favorite place in the entire forest. Have you noticed that there are no other wisteria trees around it? Now that you mention it, she never had thought about it, but as Cassidy searched her memory, she realized that Elwyn was correct. You're right. I wonder why that is. There is an even older wisteria tree deep in the forest, but now those are the only two left, and they are so far from each other. So it is with me. Cassidy found her choice of words puzzling, but nodded. I once had siblings. They have long since departed, so I don't really have a family here anymore. Others have come and gone, as I said, but I could not relate to them. I watched them from afar without entering their lives and did not mourn them when they left mine. And so the years went by. Cassidy snuggled just a little bit closer to the other woman as if to show meaning through actions where words might fail. And so they passed the night together in pleasant company and warm conversation. When the sunshine blazes down, I soon begin to wish for rain. But when you've gone away, my dear, I soon long for the sun again. Day 6. Cassidy awoke alone with a cold space beside her. Again, she's gone in the morning. What could she be doing so early? It's highly suspect. She could no longer ignore the gnawing feel of dread. Perhaps she would ask Elwyn upon their next meeting. Still, what a wonderful night that was. Each precious memory had been carved into Cassidy's heart. She yawned and slowly pulled herself out of bed. With or without Elwyn, she would have to get on with her day. Cassidy hummed a little tune to herself as she cleaned up and prepared breakfast. Sitting down at the table with her bread and morning tea, she glanced at her stationery set, left by the vase. A lot has happened. Perhaps I should write Alexander a letter. No. She shook her head. That can wait. I'm more worried about what Elwyn is up to now. Why I don't want to write the letter to Alexander is because then I'd probably have to explain what's going on, and then, well, who knows what would happen then if I explain that some random person has came, and I know they're going to make me do it, so. Though always lonesome before, the former princess's life now felt so much emptier without Elwyn's presence. Though she could be accustomed to such solitude, she could barely concentrate on her usual chores. To think that a few days could change a person so. In a lull in her activities, Cassidy's gaze went to the window. Deep in the forest, her beloved wisteria tree stood. She could see it so clearly in her mind's eye. Elowen is very much like that tree, she said as much herself. So beautiful and haunting and alone. The other woman's words from the night before weighed heavily on Cassidy. She passed the rest of the day peacefully, but with a sense of unease. Huh. Weird game it is. Weird game. The next day came, and still no Elowen. Cassidy was left with nothing but her own thoughts. And thinking of Elowen perturbed Cassidy greatly. In the last several days, the woman had embedded herself into Cassidy's life like a thorn. I never expected to become close to another person again. She thought about Elowen and the things the other woman had said, the hours spent together that were so few but felt an impossible eternity. I never did ask about her feet. Why are her toes always curled? Despite how she looks, she must be much older than me. She has a proper way of speaking and always says she's lived in the forest a long time. And with the intricacy of her clothing and her manners, something did not quite add up. Elowen did not seem to like people much. Certainly it did not seem her presence in the wood, despite how long it had been, was known to many. Alexander most probably would not have sent me here if it was known that a beautiful woman was living alone in this very wood. Where did Elowen come from? Why was she alone? She still had no satisfactory answer. Thinking it all over. Elowen is strange. She's rather strange. Then again, there is nothing normal about my situation either. This only means that I have more things to discover about her in the future. Cassidy shook her head. Even if Elowen was a tad strange, Cassidy knew that there was more to her than that. Wasn't there? She can be blunt, perhaps, but I believe she means well. Remembering the last several days, I don't feel like Elowen's monstrous. She's been pretty kind to the character. Cassidy's gaze fell upon her latest letter draft to Alexander sitting upon the table. She had started it the night before after a day spent all alone. It's gonna make me talk about her. Her thoughts naturally drifted to her brother. If I leave here, if one day Alexander allows me to leave, what else awaits me? To marry a man. When he knows full well that I cannot bear to do that. The lid on the box of her memories slowly opened. Uh-oh, we're looking at memories now. Once upon a time in the kingdom of Varamir, a pair of twins was born. It was a fortuitous event. The sister, being the elder, was marked for queenhood. All expected bitterness and resentment from her younger twin, but there was no such thing. Alexander absolutely adored Cassidy. They spent almost all of their time together. The only others Cassidy spent her days with were her beloved handmaidens, handpicked from noble families to serve her. As Cassidy grew, it became more and more apparent that she could not lead. She had little interest in politics. She much preferred socializing, spending her carefree days with her bosom friends. She and Alexander made a pact that when she became queen, he would rule as regent. She could not abdicate without making the kingdom appear weak, but she would defer to him in all matters. The promise was made. To prepare for the day that he would become regent, Alexander went abroad to study, begging the king and queen to allow him to go. It was begrudgingly granted. Though he was gone, but in a few months, it was hard on his sister. She wrote him letters daily, and he was more than happy to return those gestures in kind. Yet as time went on, she wrote to him less and less. She was finding solace in her handmaidens, he thought. All was well. During a holiday, Alexander returned to the castle for a surprise visit. He missed his sister too much. Surely she too had longed to see him. During a holiday... Imagine his surprise. Indeed, his utter horror, when that doting brother discovered his beloved older sister in bed with another woman. Oh my god. The handmaiden was banished. He would not speak of this to another for his sister's reputation, for his own reputation. You were lonely, weren't you? He asked. Yes, so unbearably lonely, and she was so sweet to me. He canceled his studies abroad at once. They were again every day together. Still, his sister's inclinations could not be ignored. A coy glance to a maiden here, a lingering touch there. He could not spend every minute with her as much as he wanted to. And as their parents talked of strategic marriages of the twins' duties, Alexander was overcome with dread. Me? Marry? When my elder sister might steal my bride away? More than that, it was unbearable to think of her married to some man, a man who would be king. In the meantime, more handmaids were quietly banished, and just when Alexander thought he might go completely mad, the unthinkable occurred. The twins, father, the king, dropped dead in the middle of dinner. She would become queen, the sinful old sister. It was not her fault. Other women were drawn to her like moths to a flame, and she had a deep loneliness that could not be satisfied with anything but constant contact. She loved everyone but him, and she would be queen. It was with great surprise that Cassidy went before the Parliament of Barons. The decision was swift and decisive and cruel, a vote of no confidence. Why? Princess Cassidy of Vermore, you stand accused of immoral acts. Her blood ran cold as her charges were detailed. Alexander had not spoken a word of it. Of that she was sure. He had promised. Yet with every handmaiden forced out, gossip followed. The young prince, so salicious and hot-blooded, everyone just knew what was going on. To become pregnant out of wedlock, what a scandal! No one ever knew that not a single one of the maidens was ever with child. Every one of them was sent to the countryside for a period of confinement that would never end. No one but they too knew the real truth. Then how? Do you deny it? Can you possibly deny it? A word, gentlemen. All eyes were on the prince. Surely he, so personally affected by the rumors, would want her gone most of all. The punishment for what she stood accused of was death. Yet it was not death that the prince suggested. Exile in a forest far from the castle. She did not know better, had been corrupted by outside forces. They could not be so callous as to sentence a young girl to a cruel death. The barons were troubled, but the words from he who would be king were powerful. His older sister had not inherited all of the charisma and charm, and so it was decided. And Cassidy wept grateful tears. Her beloved brother, he who had all the reason in the world to blame and despise her, he'd saved her life. Cassidy, of course, knew not of her brother's true thoughts and intentions, but that is no reason for you to remain ignorant of the full truth. Is a political marriage truly my only means of escape? If I can be useful to the kingdom in any way, is that better? Will my life no longer be considered a waste? Oh my god, no! Ugh, this is the stuff that shouldn't be talked about or thought about. But when you do think about it, it's horrible. And it's the stuff that you just gotta get through. I remember in English a few years ago, we had to read a book about rape. It was horrible. It was not something that was good. It was bad. Very bad. And this is like one of those type of games where you gotta get through it. So, well, I know that Alexander was corrupt. Honestly, I'm not going for the whole incest thing, so. My younger brother and I once and you completely gone. Are you truly the one who has been writing me these letters? One negative thought spiraled into a dozen. She let out a long sigh. Her thoughts had taken her on a not-so-merry chase. If I dwell on these thoughts, there will be no end to them. She brewed herself a cup of tea to calm her nerves and began reading a new book. From time to time, her eyes went somewhat nervously to the window. And so, evening fell. While Cassidy sat on the divan contemplating whether or not she wished to go on a walk, the door to the cottage burst open. Oh my god. What the hell? There was a monstrous-looking creature in her doorway. It breathed deep, ragged breaths. You must leave this place. It was only when she heard the monstrous voice that Cassidy realized that this was Elwyn. Yet she was no longer the Elwyn whom Cassidy was familiar with. What are you saying? It is not safe here. What? Elwyn grabbed at Cassidy's arm, her nails digging into the exiled princess's soft flesh. Ouch! Come now. Protesting loudly all the way, Cassidy was dragged outside. Cassidy had no earthly idea why Elowen was behaving this way, why she looked this way. What does she mean it's not safe? She began to fear that this was a trap, one that had been previously laid and was now snapping shut. Stop this! After a long while of walking and pleading with Elowen to listen, Cassidy was finally able to yank her arm from the monster's grip. You come to me like this, with no explanation, and expect me to follow you. Like this. Do you even know how you currently appear? What kind of monster are you? Elowen froze in place. For several seconds, she did not move. Finally, she slowly brought her hands up to her face. She appeared to be looking at them for the first time. So you find me disgusting, do you? Monstrous. Cassidy quickly regretted her rash words. I should not have said it like that. It was not very regal of me. Perhaps there was an explanation for all this. Yet when her gaze drifted to Elowen's countenance, she could feel nothing but revulsion. Their eyes met. Cassidy recoiled in disgust. Suddenly, Elowen began to shake. Elowen? She thought the monster might be crying, but... Elowen was laughing hysterically. She doubled over, clutching her sides as she laughed and laughed. Then she looked up once more and met Cassidy's gaze. Her feigned gaiety ceased immediately. What a fool I was, to think that you could understand me. Cassidy felt a stabbing pain in her abdomen. It burned. It was agony. She turned her gaze downward and saw that Elowen had impaled her with her arm, now somehow sharp as a blade. That you could love me. I was right. She's crying. Cassidy's heart still beat for a short while after that. She was dimly aware of something clawing, rummaging through her entrails. She was dimly aware of the sound of something eating. Where is her heart? She said I must devour it to be free. I beg you, mother, release me. Tears and blood mingled on two women's faces and became inseparable. And then there was no one there but a monster and the corpse upon which she had fed. Monster, monster, where dost thou roam? Hast thou a heart? Hast thou a home? Human thou art, monster true. So criticize me not. I will chew thy dainty bones and leave thy flesh to rot, dining as lovers do. End. Wow, guys, that was the end of Without a Voice. Whoa. Oh my gosh. So, this whole time, I believed Elowen was like an actual person. Well, I thought she was the tree. I'm not gonna lie. I know she was the tree. But I thought she was an actual, like, nice person. But she just decided to eat my entrails out and eat my heart. Don't ask me why, but okay. That's horrible. And I don't know why my character acted the way she did. Because, like, she's for some reason just turned on Elowen. I didn't even get to have a choice there for whatever reason. So I don't know. I must have done something wrong. I know there's multiple endings, but that is going to be our ending, guys. I get my heart eaten out and my entrails eating out. So I think I'm not even going to edit this really, except for a few parts, and we're gonna upload this. If you guys enjoyed the ending of Without a Voice, don't be afraid to hit that like button down below. Smash that subscribe button, and of course share my videos with your friends and family, because without them and you, this channel would be nothing. So thank you guys, thank you so much, and I enjoyed this episode. Goodbye everyone, bye!